Larry, welcome to the Awesome Dad Show.
What's up, Mark?
Not much. It's been really cool actually seeing you in person, in real life. You know, I've watched a lot of what you've been doing with the Dad Edge Alliance, and it's just really cool to see you here at Dad 2.
It's been awesome to see you here. I so appreciate you signing my hat in your blood. That was epic for me. So
yeah, you have to put that in a mantle over the fireplace.
That's where it's priceless. Going in an airtight frame.
So I'm curious. You're pretty well established. You've been running the Dad Edge Alliance for 5 years now. You've got your own conference in St. Louis. What's your goal in coming to a conference like this? What do you want to walk away from?
Man, that's a good question. To be honest, two reasons. Number one, I'm always a student. Mm-hmm. The Dad Edge has been very successful, but I'm always a student. I always want to learn. I always want to, I'm very curious about how other people are doing things. I've learned a ton here. It's been awesome.
Sure.
I've heard stories that just reinforce why I'm doing what I'm doing, like just how important fatherhood is. I've seen different angles and different things of why people are doing what they're doing, and it's just completely reinforced what I'm doing. But the other thing too, the second reason that I'm here is because I need to be poured into as well.
How do you mean?
Meaning, I like being the facilitator, being the host of my show, and then being the facilitator of our mastermind. I do a lot of pouring out, which I love to do. I love to serve. But at the same time, I like to go to something where I'm a participant, where I'm in the audience, and I get to watch, and I get to absorb, and I get to learn, and I get to take notes versus creating. And you bring home, I think, so many more ideas and different angles and more value to your audience, more value to your members. And those are really the two reasons why I'm here.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I think anytime you're trying something different, maybe even getting outside your comfort zone in some times or place, although I don't know if that's possible for you. You seem pretty immune to that. But I think that I've taken on this mentality of I want to be uncomfortable as often as possible, mm-hmm. and to be comfortable with that discomfort. And I think that's where a lot of growth can come.
I embrace that feeling as well. Sometimes I feel like it can sometimes get the best of me. Sometimes just because I'll push it a bit far. Mm-hmm. But I do enjoy that feeling. I always remember, when I was younger, I was always very, very risk adverse, very conservative with my choices, very, very tactical. And now it's like, well, let's just try it.
Right.
Let's just try it, take a risk, see what happens. Doesn't work, you can always go back.
How does your family feel about that by taking on those challenges? Do they have that same mentality, or?
They actually are. Like they're good with it. Like my boys, what I've noticed about my boys is they're not afraid to try something new. One of the biggest lessons that we teach our kids is, if fear is a good thing.
Right.
I mean, fear is a really good thing, and fear is not the absence of courage. In fact, you cannot have courage without fear. Courage is the ability to act despite the feeling of fear. So we embrace fear. We like fear. That's when we know when we're uncomfortable and we feel that fear and that risk, we know that we're on the verge of doing something that maybe we've never done or not comfortable doing, but we're going to probably walk out on the other side a better person. We've learned something, but there's going to be something good that comes out of it.
Yeah, I love that, and especially when you're the one who is setting that example. I mean, that's how you really manifest that action in your family around you, I think,
right.
Taking on that leadership role. So for anyone that's not familiar with the Dad Edge Alliance, why is that so important to you, and why has that been such a paramount part of your life?
It's so important to me because number one, I used to be and still am to some degree, the men that we serve. And you might be asking, like, well, what men do we serve? We serve all men, because most men are right now, they're living these lives of quiet desperation. They're living these lives of isolation. But here's the thing, most of us don't know that because we don't want to be associated with isolation. We don't want to be associated with desperation. That's not the way it's registering. But how it does register is, I have a lot of acquaintances, but I have very few really deep-rooted friends.
Right.
And an example of that is really, what is a deep-rooted friend? What is someone I truly respect, someone I can talk about things on a deep level besides work and sports and politics and all that. It's like this person knows how well I'm communicating with my wife. He knows like if we're going out on date nights. He knows if I'm losing my temper with my kids. You know, he knows my financial status and where I'm at and how I manage money. And he has my best interest at heart and I have his. And those are the types of relationships that when we welcome those relationships into our lives, that's when our lives can completely change, because the power, I mean, men take so much pride, and I used to too, in this lone wolf mentality.
Right.
And it's absurd. It's so absurd, because here's the thing: if most men understood what the lone wolf represents, they wouldn't like it so much, because the lone wolf represents death. That's really what it is. The lone wolf leaves the pack when he's going to go die, and if the lone wolf loses the pack, he's going to die. The strength of the wolf is because of the pack, and the pack is strong because of the wolf. And there's not a happy ending for a lone wolf. So when men understand that they don't have to live this life of a lot of acquaintances and living that I'm strong, I'm stoic, I can take it all on my shoulders, most men crumble. If you look at the statistics, depression, anxiety, suicide rates, I mean, and most men are just really trying to chase after this fulfilling life, this life of intention. We were not put on this earth, I know I'm going on a tirade here, but I'll finish up quick. We were not put on this earth to have a mediocre marriage. We were not put on this earth to have a mediocre fatherhood experience. We were put on this earth to have a legendary marriage, an amazing marriage, a thriving marriage. We were put on this earth to have an incredible connection with our kids. And at the end of our life, what we deserve, what is supposed to happen is, as we exit this life and go to the next, is we're supposed to have a smile on our face, welcoming the next level, whatever that is, or whatever afterlife you believe, because we did it. We did just that. The problem is that we just don't have the skill sets. And when you, back to your question of why is the alliance so important, and that's because we see men who have that former lone wolf mentality, and they lived that perhaps okay life or somewhat unfulfilled life, and they're like, oh my gosh, like my marriage was okay, but man, now it's awesome. And I wasn't really connected with my teenager, and now I have this incredible relationship. Or I didn't have patience with my young kid, and now I'm able to create emotional space between reaction and response. I'm able to manage my finances better. I'm able to be a better leader in my business because of it. That's why it's so important to me, because really, I mean, if you look at what we do, I mean, it's design your future, live legendary, legacy is forever. Those are our themes, and that every man, I mean, dude, from the bottom of my heart, truly deserves to have that.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important. And I feel if we can help this generation of fathers unlock that, we're going to raise an amazing generation after us.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I know there was a good portion of my life where I told myself, I don't deserve better.
Right.
My basic needs are met, but I didn't really understand that there's that next level of legendary.
Right.
You know, and I think that's something that's really important to strive for. Everyone can find you. Where can everyone find more about what you're doing, Larry?
So I'm at gooddadproject.com. That's website. That's our umbrella organization. Instagram, The Dad Edge. Twitter, @GoodDadProject. And I should probably unify everything at some point, but I'm just not going to at this point. If you search Dad Edge, or if you search Good Dad Project, that's where you'll find me.
You'll find Larry. Great show too. Great podcast. You guys definitely need to check that out. And then one last question before I let you go here. If you had a billboard that could reach millions and millions and millions of fathers, what would you put on that billboard, Larry?
How many words can it be on it?
I mean, it's a billboard.
Right.
I mean, let's under 25.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay. The definition of hell is meeting the man that you could have been when you're on your deathbed. So go out, learn the skill set to live a legendary life, to surround yourself with the right people that are going to help you do that. Create the marriage that makes you come alive, or do the work that makes you come alive, create a legendary marriage, and have an epic connection with your kids. I think that's like 27.
I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Larry Hagner, ladies and gentlemen.